Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Gerald Mohr in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. This originally broadcast November 26, 1949. The episode entitled Birds on the Wing.
Get this and get it straight. Crime is a sucker's road, and those who travel it wind up in the gut of the prison of the grave. They dressed in red, white, and blue and jumped from an ancient biplane at 3,500 feet. Twice a day, every day, and nobody worried. Until $5 million went along just for the laughs, and death went along for the ride.
From the pen of Raymond Chandler, outstanding author of crime fiction, comes his most famous character in The Adventures of Philip Marlowe. Now, with Gerald Mohr starred as Philip Marlowe, we bring you tonight's exciting story, The Birds on the Wing.
It had been the kind of quiet, workless week that speaks well for human beings and their relations with one another, but doesn't do much for a private detective's bank balance. So when at exactly noon, a telephone call had jerked me out of Chandler's new novel, The Little Sister, and a voice aged with anxiety had dangled $100 worth of negotiable bait my way, I had snapped at it. But then I wondered if I'd done the right thing, because it had been my Mus Hattie Pembroke, guardian of the millionaire thrill-seeking screwball Paige Pembroke. And now an hour later I left the sunlight and felt my way into the gloom of the carefully tucked-away Hollywood bar, where she had suggested we meet. When I could see again, I spotted her at a corner table. That the old girl would be the other side of 50 and doing a little too much to disguise it, I had expected. But that she would be drinking her whiskey neat, I hadn't. When I approached her and introduced myself,
Mr. Marlowe,
she started to come right to the point,
but
didn't quite make it.
Oh, how rude of me. I'm sorry. You're probably dying for a drink. Oh, waiter.
Well, frankly, no, Miss Pembroke. I'm not exactly dying.
No. I know you men in your early afternoon appetite for a friendly drink. There's no harm in it. Matter of fact, I've already had... Well, I've had a small drink myself.
No fooling.
Oh, waiter, this gentleman's order, please.
Yes, ma'am. What'll be, sir?
Scotch and soda, if the lady will join me.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
Really?
Well, all right. Scotch for me too, waiter. Johnny Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Marlowe, let's get down to business. Have you ever been to Oxnard, California?
Uh-huh.
Good, because that's where my nephew is. Also, it's where the Calumet Valley County Fair is being held.
Really?
Whatever that may be. Most important, it's where you can probably find out what kind of trouble Paige is in. You see, the poor boy is
down to his last $5 million. No, I'm sorry, Miss Pembroke. I don't think I want the job after all.
Now, one moment. Why not?
Well, frankly, I hope you'll excuse the reference to actual living persons, but your polo-playing, motorboat racing daredevil nephew is a jerk.
I know. Paige Pembroke III is an unmitigated ass, a virile egomaniac, an idiot who's never done an honest day's work in his life. Wait, where is that drink?
Right here, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Now, Mr. Marlowe, sit down and drink your drink. When I referred to my nephew as a poor boy in trouble, I was only trying to avoid saying all this. Your health, sir?
Yes. Well, my health.
Now, your next question. Since I obviously share your sentiments about my nephew, why all this concern over him, correct?
Close.
Right. I want to help Paige Pembroke, Mr. Marlowe, because it's my job. My, shall I say, bread and butter?
All right, say it.
You see, I'm executor of his estate, which my brother, Paige's father, left for him. Well, as such, I get $20,000 a year until Paige is 35, another 6 years. But if Paige should die, disappear, or be committed to any kind of a public institution...
Oh.
Before then, the entire estate goes to charity, and I go find another job.
And specialized jobs like handling $5 million estates are hard to come by these days, huh?
Now, Mr. Marlowe, this letter here's all you have to go on. It was postmarked last night from Oxnard. Read it, read it.
Oh. If you want your precious nephew to keep on being healthy, you better come and get him at once. The three of us had a nice little act going here at the Calumet Valley County Fair before he joined us just for laughs. We intend to have a nice little act going after he's gone. And one way or another, he's going to go. A friend, huh?
Yeah? What do you think?
Oh, it's 5 to 1 is nothing more than the woman spurned. Very young woman, Miss Pembroke. So you might be wasting $100 sending me up there.
Then you'll go. Good.
Yeah, but only because of my bank account.
Mr. Marlowe, there'll be another $100 for you if and when you get all this straightened out. Now, call me at my home, Beverly Hills. Crestview 5412.
4124?
Yes, as soon as you find out what's wrong. Mr. Marlowe.
Yes, Miss Pembroke.
On your way out, signal the waiter for me, will you please?
The ride to Oxnard was a pleasant but frustrating hour-and-a-half drive along the kind of beckoning sun-scrubbed Pacific shoreline that always demands to know why you have to work for a living. The ride through Oxnard to the sprawling county fairgrounds located at a semi-retired airport was a fast 10 minutes. So all in all, it was a little better than 3 o'clock, and there was still a measure of boyish bounce in my stride when I started past the prize cows and plain and fancy leghorns and headed for the midway, looking for the act Paige Pembroke had joined just for laughs. But it was 4 o'clock, and I had checked a half a dozen death-defying numbers before I was standing in front of a banner Columbus could have used for a sail. It said I was getting warm. In iridescent orange cloth on black, it read, "The Plunging Comets. Taffy Starr and Midge Maynard on wings of death with fearless Eddie Knapp at the controls. The greatest parachute act in the world, admission free. 5 and 9 p.m., north end of the Midway. Come one, come all." Yeah, this had to be it. At the north end of the Midway, just outside of a sagging, weather-peeled hangar, I found the World War I biplane that went with the Plunging Comets being mothered by a mechanic who didn't have grease on his face. And beyond that, on an inside wall of the hangar, were the parachutes used in the act, each on a separate hook, its owner's name carefully block-lettered on a card tacked above. Taffy, Midge, and Eddie. And then, scrawled in black crayon, the name I wanted most of all to see, Paige.
Lost something, mister?
The voice went with the woman and the woman with the act. At the top, there was what used to be called the boyish bob, sticking out of a white aviator's helmet circa 1918. Then a bright red leather jacket open wide at the throat, black riding breeches, black boots, a color of hair that stuck out and said this one was Taffy.
I asked if you lost something. Have you?
Well, come to think of it, yes. 6'2", eyes are blue, and carries a big, big checkbook. Seen one around?
Maybe. Why? Who are you?
Name's Philip Marlowe, the millionaire's friend. I'm a yacht salesman. Here's my card.
Never mind your card or the very funny joke. Now, what do you really want?
Paige Pembroke before he breaks his neck in your act, or isn't he in it yet?
I don't remember. Now, your point. What is it?
A letter you could have written? A letter that says Paige is in trouble. Where is he?
Goodbye, Mr. Marlowe.
Take it easy, Wings. You wouldn't want to hold out on somebody who's only trying to help Brother Paige, would you? I mean, what reason could you possibly have? Other than $5 million you might want for your very own.
Why, you... I said goodbye.
What's the matter, Taffy? You having problems?
Yeah. This Mr. Yacht Salesman is Emmett Kingston, head of the fair's Midway, and you'd be surprised how popular he is with the concessionaries. Now where you going?
What else? Good day, Miss Taffy, Mr. Kingston. You know, sometimes it works. Lead with your chin, ride with a punch, and watch for your opening. And I figured I'd try it just that way. So 10 minutes later, when Emmett Kingston, who was carnival people from checkered vest past ornate watch fob to high-button shoes, and shaped like a bowling pin, left Taffy and started trundling down the Midway, I went after him. When he stopped in front of a lunch wagon, I stopped too. And when he went in and approached the man playing pinball machine, who was maybe 5'4", and from where I stood conscious of it, I was still behind him. At the pinball machine, a stranger with a thin face that wore a nervous toothpick was also watching the little man's game.
Oh, boy, Doc, it's peachy.
So when I moved closer to the trio, my face turned away from Kingston. Nobody seemed to mind.
I see. Jack of many trades, I see.
What? Oh, Mr. Kingston, how are you, sir?
Fine, Hershey, just fine.
800 more is jackpot, Doc. Come on.
You wanted to speak to me, Mr. Kingston?
No, Hershey, nothing important except about last night.
Last night, sir?
You were working late for a parachute rigger, weren't you, boy? Or am I wrong to consider 2 o'clock in the morning an odd hour for you to be folding these silks?
Hey, Doc, you're gonna shoot it, aren't you? Which?
Of course she is. Go on, I'll shoot for the gentleman.
Yes, sir.
Hey, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Hey, that's great. Now do that again with your last ball, Doc.
Was there something else, Mr. Kingston?
Yes, Hershey. Why were you near the chutes at that hour? And don't bother denying that you were, because Eddie Knapp saw you there. Well, son?
Well, I was there to double-check the riggings, Mr. Kingston. Hey, look, I'm sick and tired of Midge Maynard complaining about the way I pack her chute. It's a stupid excuse, just trying to cover the fact that she's losing her nerve.
Hey, boys, don't ignore me. To reach out for the jackpot.
Shut up, you, and get going. Rosie, get this stumblebum out of here, will you?
Sure, Mr. Kingston, whatever you say.
Oh, yeah, this social, huh? All right, Doc, I'm going. Of my own free will, too. But I could stay if I wanted to.
Hershey, you were saying?
Well, just this, Mr. Kingston. Midge Maynard and Taffy Starr fighting because of that Pembroke fellow, or because Eddie Knapp is crazy about Taffy is one thing. But bringing me and my work into it is different.
Meaning?
The parachutes Midge and Taffy use are identical. In the act, both girls jump from the plane wing at the same time. But Midge always gets scared and opens her chute sooner than Taffy. So Taffy is on the ground long before Midge. But this has nothing to do with the way I rigged the chutes, and I think
all right, Hershey. Nobody's blaming you. Say, you...
Yeah?
You wouldn't be trying to sell another yacht in here, would you?
Just waiting for the finish of an exciting pinball game. That all right, or is it time to call Rosie again?
No, it's quite all right. We're leaving. You try for the jackpot. Come on, Hershey. It's about time for the 5 o'clock show.
Oh, yes, Mr. Kingston.
Only 40,000 to go. Oh, it's the first time I ever hit the jackpot.
Oh, that's pretty good, Mr. Marlowe, considering that it wasn't your nickel you won on.
Oh, now that you mention it, Mr. Pembroke, it wasn't. Which should take care of the introductions,
Yeah,
huh?
and that leaves very little.
But something.
But definitely. Marlowe, you can tell Aunt Hattie from me that at the moment I don't need a watchdog. And when and if I do, I'll go to the nearest city pound for one, not to a private detective agency.
I told myself it was foolish to slam the door on my way out. So I slammed the door on my way out. I started north down the midway toward the open stands and the 5 o'clock sharp performance of the Plunging Comets. When I got there, the act was already underway with the silver biplane taking off. Eddie Knapp in white at the controls, Taffy in her red jacket and parachute crouched on one wing, Midge Maynard in blue jacket and chute on the other. Then as they slowly gained altitude, High Button Shoes himself took over the PA. They did it up well, and by the time the plane was at about 3,000 feet, every pair of eyes was riveted skyward, and an expectant hush thicker than winter fog had settled everywhere.
At 3,500 feet, the Plunging Comets, Taffy Starr and Midge Maynard with fearless Eddie Knapp at the controls. They will not open their parachutes until they are within 500 feet of the ground. Now watch. They should be ready. Yes, and yes, there they go.
Knees drawn up tight, arms close into their sides, they jumped. Specks in the sky growing bigger as they fell. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 feet, and then, from taffy chute cloth, long and colored, a huge flag rippling in the wind from the end of a long rope. The flag seemed to rise above her as she fell, until the slack was gone, and then suddenly her chute opened, billowing. And then Midge, another flag rippling from the end of a long rope, and then the flag drifting free. Midge's chute not open, Midge plummeting down to the hard ground. The thud slammed home all the way around, kicking hard at every stomach. A minute ago, a girl, very much alive. Our smashed, still body. Someplace near me, a woman cried. There was a bitter, sick, sweet taste in my mouth as I headed for the hangar where I'd first met Taffy. At the moment, I figured the guy who packed the parachutes was a good man to see. When I got there, the only one present was Emmett Kingston.
Stop right there, boy, and tell me straight and fast just who you are.
Philip Marlowe, Los Angeles private detective, Mr. Kingston.
You can prove that?
Sure. Here Here's my business card, state license, county permit.
Yeah.
I'm working for Paige Pembroke's aunt. She wants his nibs kept out of trouble.
Which has what to do with your being here now, Marlowe? Here at this hangar, I mean. Close to where the parachutes are kept.
I'm not sure, Kingston. I've only got a hunch. A hunch that Midge Maynard's death was no accident.
Yeah, I got more than that already, Mr. Detective. I've got proof.
Oh?
You see this flag? It's the one that came off Midge's chute. There's a long rope attached to it.
Yeah, I know. I saw the act. Pulls the chute open after the flag's flown a while, right?
Sometimes, but not tonight, Mr. Marlowe. Tonight it couldn't.
Why not? Wasn't it attached to the chute?
It was. One end to the chute release cord, the other to the base of the flag.
What went wrong?
Nothing. Nothing, Mr. Marlowe, except that the long rope on Midge's chute was cut in two by a very sharp knife.
In just a moment, the second act of Philip Marlowe. But first...
November 26, 1949, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Gerald Mohr, The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, November 26, 1949.
Now with our star, Gerald Mohr, we return to the second act of Philip Marlowe and tonight's story, The Birds on the Wing.
When Midge Maynard's grim accident turned out to be grimmer murder, I left Kingston and headed for a phone to call my client. Everywhere the chill of the viciously spectacular death lay like a soggy blanket. At the exposition office, I found a phone and finally got through to Hattie Pembroke. She listened up to the word murder and then, between gasps, insisted on coming out to help me. When I hung up, I turned to see that the pilot, Eddie Knapp, had been standing in the door listening. He looked sick.
What's it to you, mister?
What's what to me?
Midge. The long drop she took out there. And Pembroke. I heard you say Pembroke. What do you got to do with him?
Just a minute, fella. I'm not sure it's any of your business.
It's my business, all right. That kid gave me a big grin up there just before she jumped. And I watched her fall every inch of the way.
So did everybody else. Look, I know how you feel, Eddie.
You don't have any idea how I feel. Don't try to kid me. That mob out there loved it. That's the only reason they come to watch, the hypocritical buzzards. You got a finger in this pie, an angle all your own. I'm going to find out what it is.
Take it easy, Knapp. You're talking yourself into something real silly.
Yeah? Listen, ever since that louse Pembroke showed up here, there's been trouble brewing. Now Midge is dead. She was a friend of mine. Best friend I had.
Aren't you pulling a switch, Buster? What happened to your red-hot passion for Taffy Star?
Oh, you nosy...
Come here, you jerk! Look out! My arm, bus boy, and unless you want to take over the busted wing, stand still. Now get this, Eddie. I've got no beef with you yet. In fact, we might even be on the same team because I want Pembroke out of here just as much as you do. So cool off!
Who are you?
Private detective named Marlowe. I got news for you. Midge fell because her chute was fixed. She was murdered. You heard me.
Where's Hershey? He packed the chutes. Have you talked to him?
No, I can't find him.
You mean he's run away? With that filthy half-pint
now
psycho?
Listen, for your own sake, Eddie, leave Hershey to me and the police. You know where he's staying?
No, I don't. In town someplace.
Well, didn't he ever tell you where? Come on, think, Eddie.
Well, yeah, he told me he had a buddy in town. Some guy who runs a pool hall. I didn't pay much attention.
That's enough for a starter. I'll find him. And keep a lid on your temper, Eddie. I'll see you. As I crossed the grounds to my car, I looked back once at Eddie Knapp standing in the office door, rubbing the shoulder I twisted for him. I hoped he'd stay out of circulation until I got back because the barnstorming flyer was charged up like a high-tension wire. The way he felt there'd be sparks no matter who he touched. Taffy, Pembroke, or Lyle Hershey. But my immediate worry was the location of the lambing parachute packer, so I drove into Oxnard, found a phone booth, and went through the book calling pool parlors. I finally hit pay dirty at a joint called Pindy's.
It's 212B Street, upstairs in the back.
212B Street was an apartment, second floor rear over a boarded-up fish market. I went up the stairs to the half-open door with my hand around my .38. But the shooting part was all over. Because Lyle Hershey was crumpled in the bedroom door with the slovenly abandon that violent death always has. From the look of the puddle of blood under him, he'd been that way over an hour. I started backing out, just as someone else started up the stairs. So I flattened myself against the wall beside the kitchen door and waited.
Lyle, Lyle, it's Taffy.
Come on in. Take a good look, Taffy.
What are you doing in here? Where's Lyle?
Great act, baby. Holds water like a duck's back.
What do you mean?
That wherever there's murder, there's also motive, and you've got it, Taffy. Lots of it.
Me? What are you talking about?
Maybe he's dead, and maybe you killed him. Keep him quiet, because maybe he fouled up Midge Maynard's parachute on your orders. Consequently, he had you over a barrel.
On my orders? You're out of your mind.
And maybe you had to get Midge out of the way because you objected to Paige Pembroke and his idle millions honing into the act. Objected so strenuously that she was doing something about it, such as sending threats to his Aunt Hattie. Let's face it, baby, it fits.
But not tight enough, Marlowe.
Oh, Paige, darling.
Taffy, I got worried when you didn't come back to the car, so I decided... Don't move, Marlowe, or I'll shoot.
Pembroke, if you got any sense in that gold-plated skull of
I'll
yours...
show it, Marlowe. I stood outside and listened to enough of your crackpot theories to know you're nuts.
November 26, 1949, Philip Marlowe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, November 26, 1949.
I don't need any advice from you at this point, so keep your long nose out of my business.
Now listen, you harebrained dope.
You just stand there like a good little boy. Taffy and I are leaving, and don't try to follow too fast. Go on, Taffy, outside. I'll follow you. So long, detective.
I let him go. Spent 20 useless minutes searching the almost bare apartment for any kind of an answer, but came up with nothing. Hershey's body at my feet convinced me there was nothing in Oxnard for Marlowe. And the sooner I dumped the whole mess into the laps of local law and order, the better. So I kicked out the 10-cent lock on the flimsy door and went down the stairs. I cut through an alley to the street and started across to where my car was parked, when I was bracketed by a pair of headlights on a sleek Nash convertible.
Hey there, Marlowe! Marlowe, what you doing here, boy?
Nothing. Even that's an exaggeration, Kingston. What about you? I thought you had a show tonight.
I certainly do, but the police don't give a hoot about that, boy.
No.
They insisted that I bring the rest of Midge Maynard's parachute harness in for investigation. Get in, come along, will you, son? Maybe you can help me out.
Okay. I want to see the police myself. Oh, is this Midge's stuff here?
That's it. Don't mind holding it, do you?
No.
You know, this is a waste of time, boy. All they have to do is pick up Lyle Hershey and they'll get all the answers.
They'll have to pick him up, all right, but he'll give him problems, not answers, Mr. Kingston. Lyle Hershey's dead. He was murdered.
You say Lyle?
Yeah, I just came from his place. Somebody shot him.
Great suffering sardines. Well, that means there's another killer. And still on the loose. I knew I shouldn't let him do it.
Let who do what?
Why, Taffy's going to give an air performance tonight. They pulled me in at the grounds just as I was leaving and told me that Pembroke fella's going up Midge's place.
You mean those two showed up out there? Doesn't make sense.
Well, Pembroke's got plenty of nerve in his own chute, so I guess...
Chute?
Yeah, he's...
Wait a minute, Kingston. Stop under that streetlight, will you?
Why, what is it, Marlowe? What are you looking at?
Sure. Red smudges on the inside of these straps. There's something wrong here, Kingston, but I can't quite peg it. Say, Kingston, what time was that performance going to start?
Why, 9 o'clock.
5 minutes and 5 miles to go. Come on, boy, turn the heap around and romp on it. We got a killer to catch. Swing out in front of the hangar, Kingston. Hurry.
It's empty. They're already out on the runway.
Yeah, there's one parachute still on the rack.
Why, that's Eddie Knapp's chute, and he never goes up without it. So who's at the controls of that plane out there?
I don't even have to guess. It's Eddie Knapp, all right, but he figures a suicide doesn't need a chute. Pile out, Kingston. It's as far as you go. I'm taking over from here.
What are you
Come
talking
on,
about?
move. Get out. They're turning around now. Yeah, he's going to make us run back this way. So long, Kingston. Here he comes.
What are you doing? Come back!
I waited until there was no possible chance for a miss. And I headed the car straight into the path of the plane, pulled the hand throttle out as far as it would go, and jumped. Thereon it was easy. The plane sort of stumbled over the car, rolled up on its nose, and stayed there. Quick work by the volunteer crash crew took care of that. A box of bandages took care of the collection of minor cuts and bruises all around, and the Oxnard police took care of Eddie Knapp. Everything had come out more or less even, except my client, Hattie Pembroke. She showed up at the finish line slightly on the bias, which no doubt was her normal late evening state. Also, she was as full of questions as an insurance adjuster.
Now, young man, I paid you a substantial sum of money for this day's work, and therefore, as your employer, I'm certainly entitled to a comprehensive report of the entire business. And I insist
All right, Hattie, whoa. I'll run through it once more, and that's all. Now, look, First, the threatening letter you got was written by Midge Maynard because she was afraid Paige was going to break up the act. You get it? But the real screwball was Eddie Knapp. He was crazy about Taffy's star and insanely jealous when your nephew and his money showed up. Knapp decided if he couldn't have Taffy, nobody else would, because he'd kill her.
And yet Midge Maynard was the one who got killed.
You catch on quick. Knapp killed Hershey because he was afraid Hershey had seen him tampering with the chutes. You get that?
No.
Oh.
On second thought, Marlowe, maybe you better submit a written report tomorrow.
Yeah, with adding machine enclosed. Now look, Hattie, it's not
Hey,
that...
Marlowe, Paige and I want to apologize. We treated you pretty badly tonight, and, well, you did save our lives.
Business is business.
Yeah, that's right. He was hired to do a job, dear, and he did it. I'm only interested in one thing, Marlowe. How'd you know it was Eddie Knapp?
Well, nobody had a really good motive for killing both Midge and Hershey, so when I realized the chutes had been switched, I knew Midge's murder was a mistake. From there, it was easy.
How'd you find that out, Marlowe?
From red smudges on the inside of the harness shoulder straps. Red that had to come from your leather jacket there, Taffy. The one Midge always wore was blue.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Well, Hattie, write the detective a check so he can go.
That's the best idea you've had to date, Pembroke. And include on it the price of a repair job on Kingston's car, a new tweed suit to replace this one that lost knees and elbow on the runway when I jumped. And also, don't forget the bonus you promised for keeping your job alive, Hattie.
Oh, just a minute, Marlowe.
As for you, Pembroke, the only reason I'm not filing an assault and battery charge against you is that you've got great grounds for a countersuit.
What do you mean?
This!
Bless you, my boy.
Mail me the check. Good night. Well, a few informal cups of coffee at the Oxnard Police Headquarters cut through most of the paperwork. But at that, it was after 2 when I finally picked up my car and drove the inland highway for home, past dark, quiet farms, where down-to-earth people made down-to-earth livings and slept at night. Yeah, the countryside was full of them. So it was with a real sigh of relief that I finally opened the door to my apartment and looked forward to some peace and quiet.
Hello, Mr. Marlowe.
Aren't you Gracie Allen?
Yes.
Well, how'd you get into my apartment?
Well, you see this key?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't fit, so I opened the door and walked in.
Yeah, well, that figures. What can I do for you?
Mr. Marlowe, you're a famous detective, and I think you're just the man to handle a very important case for me.
Oh, really? Well, I'd be very happy to, Gracie. What's your problem?
Well, you see, Mr. Marlowe, our sponsor won't let my husband, Sugar Throat Burns, sing on our program.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to investigate the possibilities of another radio program George can sing on.
Mm-hmm.
And then our sponsor will realize he's wonderful and let him sing on our show.
Oh. Well, I'm sorry, Gracie, and the next time you pass my house, I'll be very grateful.
Oh, thank you. And I'll be looking for you, too. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
The Adventures of Philip Marlowe, bringing you Raymond Chandler's most famous character, star Gerald Mohr, and are produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Script is by Robert Mitchell and Gene Levitt. Featured in the cast were Lois Corbett, Rita Lynn, Don Randolph, Junius Matthews, Jack Moyles, and Jimmy Eagles. The special music is composed and conducted by Richard Orant.
November 26, 1948, even Philip Marlowe couldn't have solved that mystery. On Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, November 26, 1948. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Claudia, November 26, 1948.
And now, Claudia.
Ooh, this kitchen is cold. Thanksgiving. Baking soda. Now, let's see, where is the baking soda? Oh, here it is. I guess I'm only human after all. Glass and spoon. Mm-hmm. There we are. My, looks good. Well, here's to good health and good digestion. Yeah, that's better. Now maybe I'll be able to sleep. What a night. Well,
Oh.
if it's not the Lord and Master himself.
Roger, what are you doing up at this unholy hour?
Oh, just taking constitutional.
Everything all right?
Everything's fine. What could be the matter?
No, nothing.
What are you doing up at this hour?
Oh, just woke up, that's all.
Oh, that's a glass in your hand.
No, so it is. I just had a glass of water. I was thirsty.
Oh, what else are you holding there, David?
A beautiful night, isn't it?
Oh, yes, beautiful. What are you holding there?
This?
As I live and breathe, bicarbonate of soda.
What do you know? For Mother.
Of course.
And Claudia.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know I never have to take anything.
Of course.
What's the matter? Couldn't you sleep?
Oh, I slept fine while I was sleeping. I had a few nightmares, of course, but otherwise I slept fine.
Nightmares, eh? I had a few nightmares, too. I dreamed a live turkey was eating me.
Very interesting. Very apt.
Mm-hmm.
Going back up to bed?
Well, I don't think I'm quite ready yet. What about you?
I thought I'd walk around a little while.
You're feeling all right, aren't you?
Oh, yes, I'm feeling fine. Did you leave some bicarbonate of soda for me?
For you?
I feel all right. Perfectly. I'm just a little uncomfortable.
Yes, I know.
Overeating.
Yes.
It's very stupid of me.
It certainly was.
You should know by now that whatever I stuff myself, it bodes no good.
Well, you're not the only one.
You mean you? You of the Iron Constitution?
I mean old Ironsides himself.
Oh, that makes me feel ever so much better. I thought perhaps I'd made a glutton of myself.
No, you did.
Everything was so delicious, and after all, Thanksgiving does come only once a year, thank heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to give my ulcers something to do once in a while, don't I?
Well, here's the baking soda. Help yourself.
I think it was that second helping of sweet potatoes. Yes, that was it. Very rich. Sweet potatoes.
Funny, I thought that was your homemade ice cream was what did it. Oh, well.
Well, here's to you, David. Here's to a beautiful dinner and a dreadful night.
Bottoms up.
Oh, that's better now. Going back up to bed.
I think I'll walk around down here a little while. I don't want to wake up Claudia.
She's sleeping soundly?
Tight as a drum.
If I didn't love her so much, I could probably hate her for it.
Oh, nothing ever bothers Claudia. She sleeps, she eats, and she sleeps.
Wonderful, wonderful. The sleep of the innocent and the young. Oh, I'm starting to feel less uncomfortable. Yes, very much less.
So am I. Let's go into the living room. We can sit down there for a while.
Fine with me. Leave the light on. I may need another glass. Suppose you realize, of course, that this scene is being duplicated in kitchens and living rooms all over the country.
Yes, I can imagine it.
Yes, it consoles me. Makes me feel a great deal better to know that I'm just one of a very vast number of the overindulgent.
Well, if it makes you feel better, go right ahead.
Oh, yes, it's much better sitting up than lying down. It was a lovely day, David.
Oh, boy.
Beautiful Thanksgiving. I'm not the least bit sorry for any of it.
Not even for that extra mouthful?
Mm-hmm. Not even.
Well, neither am I. I suppose we should feel slightly ashamed and humiliated, but no, it was worth it.
What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
Probably the wind. Stairs creaking.
Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Oh, as I live and breathe, me own mother-in-law.
Good morning, Mrs. Brown. Or should I say good evening? Or good night?
Just tell me what's going on here. I feel as if I'd wandered into a lodge meeting.
We were talking.
Nothing unusual about that at 2 a.m.?
That's right, just talking. What brings you around, Mrs. Brown?
Well, I thought I heard a noise a while back.
That was Bluff. He fell over me as I came downstairs.
Oh.
He didn't see me in the dark.
Of course. So I thought I'd get up and be sure everything was quite all right.
Well, I'm sorry he woke you up.
Oh, don't apologize for him. I was awake.
Not able to sleep?
Not very well. I had some bad dreams.
Well, that makes 3 of us. Mrs. Brown, the bicarbonate of soda is sitting by the sink with a glass and a spoon all ready for you.
You mean you, too? You men?
We, too.
I think it was the chestnuts that did it. I never could resist chestnuts.
Now, that makes chestnuts, sweet potatoes, and ice cream the guilty ones so far.
I should have known better. When it comes to Thanksgiving, I throw all cautions to the winds, all judgment out of the window.
You're one of a vast multitude.
But I don't regret it.
Neither do we.
At least I don't think I regret it. Still, I feel so stuffed.
Well, you look as trim as ever, Mrs. Brown.
Don't believe it. Well, it's very pleasant to have somebody to talk to. I'll be right back.
She's a delightful woman.
Yes, she is. She's strong and gentle, and she's a real woman.
She bodes well for Claudia.
I think so.
Though Claudia bodes well for herself. You're a very lucky man, David. As much as I love my wife, at this moment, right now, I don't think I'll ever be able to speak to her again.
You mean she's sleeping entirely too well?
Entirely. She has no soul, no spirit, no sense of sympathy. How can she lie there in her warm bed while the three of us sit here dosing ourselves, stuffed and uncomfortable?
It's age, David. Claudia still has the digestive tract of a child. Oh, I feel better now.
Well, sit down, Mrs. Brown, and join the happy little circle.
I'm not very presentable.
Nonsense. Sit down.
And at 2 o'clock in the morning, one neither gives nor demands apologies. You know, David, the fact that the three of us can sit here condoling with each other instead of giving each other murderous looks is a great tribute to the human race.
You think so?
Yes. Moments of this sort, I usually want to retire and retreat to my lair. I welcome solitude, and I hate everybody.
I always thought misery loved company.
You're getting sleepy, David.
I think so. Hope so.
I'm starting to revive, too.
Really?
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. What dreams I had. But somehow I don't even mind having indigestion in this house. It's so very pleasant.
My, what a pretty picture.
No, it's you.
What are you doing up?
Where did you come from?
It's I. What I'm doing up is none of your business. And I come from upstairs. I woke up, David. You weren't there.
I was here.
So I see. What are you doing here? As a matter of fact, what's everybody doing here?
Oh, we're just sitting around talking.
Just sitting around, talking.
Figuratively speaking.
How are you feeling, my darling?
Fine, never better. Why?
Just ask.
Oh.
You see what I mean, David?
Yes, I certainly do. I see exactly what you mean.
You know, you all look sort of gloomy.
We all feel sort of gloomy.
You do? Why?
Oh, no reason.
You're feeling all right, aren't you? Mama, tell me.
I'm feeling fine now.
Really? I had a sort of feeling in the pit of my stomach.
Yes?
What kind of a feeling?
Oh, that you weren't feeling so well.
Oh.
What's the matter, darling? Too much dinner?
Oh, no. We're fine. I just woke up, and Roger just woke up, and Mama just woke up, and that's all there is to it.
Oh, good. Say, would anybody like a glass of milk?
A glass of milk?
No, I don't think I want a glass of milk. No.
Glass of milk? You know, that might not be a bad idea. Glass of milk. No.
Some hot tea? I might like some hot tea.
Good, we can put the kettle to boil. It'll only take a minute. I like being up in the middle of the night like this. It's sort of an extra dividend to the day.
You really slept well, darling? Not a nightmare or not anything?
Not anything. Why? Should I have a nightmare?
No reason. I'm sorry I woke you up.
Oh, don't be sorry. It's lovely down here. What were you talking about?
We weren't talking much.
No.
I'm about ready to go back to bed.
Well, I'm feeling about ready, too.
Oh, no. Now, listen. Now, don't go. I just came. I know. Let's stir up a fire.
Let's not.
Well, then let's eat something.
Eat?
Well, it's a shame just to go to bed when we're all up.
Why?
Well, because if we're just going to go back to bed, we might just as well have stayed there in the first place, obviously.
Obviously.
You'll have to excuse her, Roger, but 2 in the morning, she doesn't make any sense.
Where are you going, darling?
In the kitchen a minute.
You know, Roger, that bicarbonate of soda worked wonderfully. I feel like a new man.
I feel pretty well myself. Nice and light. Yes, I feel fine.
And nothing seems to have bothered Claudia.
Give her time. She's still young.
No, I'm not so old. And to prove it, I could eat a slice of white turkey myself. A thin slice of white meat.
It was a delicious turkey.
There's some left in the icebox.
All right. Who's with me?
I know I'm going to go down for the 3rd time, but I'm with you, David.
And I am, too.
Claudia, you in the kitchen?
Yeah, I'm just getting some water to Bluff. You know, it's funny. His tongue was hanging right out of the corner of his mouth.
Any turkey left?
Certainly, it's in the icebox. Help yourself. Turkey? Are you serious?
Certainly we're serious.
Would you deny us a sliver of turkey?
No, but I...
Who'd like some pickle with it?
A pickle?
I think I could say a pickle.
I'll make mine a sandwich, David. Cut me a little dark meat.
My appetite has certainly come back. Look at this bird.
Not going to be very much left for cold turkey over the weekend.
That's all right. This is what it's for.
Claudia, you want a drumstick or a wing?
David, are you really going to eat turkey?
Of course we're going to eat it.
And a pickle?
And a pickle.
And the sliced tomatoes and
Those
milk.
sliced tomatoes and milk.
Oh.
I didn't realize I was so hungry.
I guess, Mr. Killian, you and I aren't so old after all.
And if Claudia can get by Thanksgiving dinner without a peep, so can we.
And now, my love, have a slice of turkey.
David.
Yes?
Darling, would you be terribly disappointed with me if I had a glass of bicarbonate instead?
Disappointed? Darling, you've never said anything that pleased me more. Bottoms up.
Bright, friendly red coolers beckon on every street and highway, offering you ice-cold Coca-Cola. And they're welcome sights indeed, when you seek the pause that refreshes. But did you ever happen to think that you have a white cooler right in your kitchen? It's your family icebox. Fill it with Coke, and it'll help everyone in the house to work refreshed, lunch refreshed, and play refreshed.
And how did you fare with Thanksgiving dinner, Mr. King?
I fared just about as well as you fared, Mr. Killian.
Well, then, just pretty fair.
But better now. You staying up here all weekend, Mr. Killian?
Perhaps until Sunday evening.
Oh, you won't be here Monday for breakfast.
Anything special going on Monday morning for breakfast?
No, not especially. Just that David finally finds out that Claudia is a victim.
Victim? Victim of what?
Victim of a radio program. Breakfast with Betty and George Pringle.
One of those?
Yes, one of those. It'll be very interesting. You should hear all about it. Well, see you around next week, Mr. Killian.
And many more Thanksgivings with Claudia and David, Mr. King.
Same to you. Many more happy Thanksgivings. Every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again Monday at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir.
November 26, 1948, Claudia on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the great radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.